for godliness. The third book, and you'll see on the slide in front of you, was probably one of the deepest impacting books of all the ones that I have had the privilege of writing. I spent a year with David, and that's why this book is called David's Spiritual Secrets. Now, the reason why I did that is I started noticing, as I read through the Bible 3 times a year, decade after decade, I noticed and started counting that David is the most talked about person in the Bible. This book is a course for believers who say, I want to tune up my attitudes and emotions. Think of David's life. David had bad feelings, anger, rejection, hopelessness, and paralyzing depression. Wow. David. Now wait a minute, here's a quiz. If you were in one of my classes with these marker boards, I would look at you and say, who's the most written about person in the Bible? 141 chapters of the Bible are about David. And what does God call David? The man after what? God's own heart. Say that. The man after God's own heart. Now look back at that slide. He had paralyzing depression. Do you see, some people live, and there's a chapter on this. I call it Life in the Minor Key. Is depression sin? That's chapter 13. Here's another one. The giant that slew David was lust. How to flee the lusts of the flesh is another chapter. How to sing the song of a soul set free. This book is about David, who was unemployed, who had family problems, who had marital problems, who had problems with his in-law. You know, King Saul was trying to kill him. David also had this emotional struggle. And yet, God showed him how to survive unexpected job loss, chapter 7. How to survive life's unexpected twists. That's when he, basically was homeless and living in caves. How to overcome feelings of being abandoned by God. Did you know every one of those chapters are based on a psalm that David wrote from each of these events of his life? David wrote a psalm when he was a little boy, sitting as a shepherd, looking at the stars and looking at his sheep, Psalm 19 and 23. He wrote a psalm when he was a young man starting toward kingship, and it was his kind of the resolves of his life, Psalm 101. One of them is, I'll set nothing wicked before my eyes. What a resolve. But each of these psalms are like Psalm 57, living successfully in a cave of troubles. David was living with 400 men in a cave, and a lot of them were out of work and troubled, and wow. David's roadmap, the pathway back to God, Psalm 51. Overcoming personal attacks and abuse. David was abused verbally, physically. How do you overcome that? That's an amazing chapter 20. Living deliberately for God, chapter 21. No coasting allowed, Psalm 31. And on I could go. This David's Spiritual Secret, looking at the person in the Bible most described by God. Why? Because they show us God's prescription for every part of our life. And I commend that to you as a part of your own personal journey.